and slipped it into her backpack. She leaned close to the mirror to inspect her makeup. After years of staring into her mirror with the confidence of a beautiful girl, she now examined her face with the uncertainty of a battered woman. There were pictures in a file at her lawyer's office, pictures of her face, bruised and puffy. Her nose, well, it looked fine now. The plastic surgeon had done a great job. So had the dentist. Her smile faltered, dimmed. She straightened her back again. She couldn't afford to think about that now. It was showtime. She folded back the door and stepped out. There was a moment of silence as the four in the room took in Rue's transformation. The darker vampire looked gratified. The red-haired one's expression didn't change. That pleased Rue. "You were fooling us," Sylvia said. She had a deep, raspy voice. "You were in disguise." "I'd better remember that Sylvia Dayton is perceptive," Rue told herself. "Well, let's try you on the dance floor, since you definitely pass in the looks department. By the way, it's Blue Moon you want to try out for, right? Not Black Moon? You could do very well in a short time with Black Moon, with your face and body." It was Blue Moon's ad she'd answered. Dancer wanted, must work with vamps, have experience, social skills, the ad had read. Salary plus tips. "What's the difference?" Rue asked. "Black Moon, well, you have to be willing to have sex in public." Rue couldn't remember the last time she'd been shocked, but she was shocked now. "No," she said, trying not to sound as horrified as she felt. "And if this tryout has anything to do with removing my clothes—" "No, Blue Moon Entertainment is strictly for dancing," Sylvia said. She was calm about it. "As the ad said, you team with a vampire. That's what the people want these days. Whatever kind of dancing the party calls for. Waltzing, hip-hop. The tango is very popular. People just want a dance team to form the centerpiece for their evening, get the party started. They like the vamp to bite the girl at the end of the exhibition dance." She'd known that. It had been in the ad, too. All the material she'd read had told her it didn't hurt badly, and the loss of a sip of blood wouldn't affect her. She'd been hurt worse. "After you dance as a team, often you're required to stay for an hour dancing with the guests," Sylvia was saying. "Then you go home. They pay me a fee, I pay you. Sometimes you get tips. If you agree to anything on the side and I hear about it, you're fired." It took Rue a minute to understand what Sylvia meant, and her mouth compressed. Sylvia continued. "Pretty much the same arrangement applies for Black Moon, but the entertainment is different, and the pay is higher. We're thinking of adding vampire jugglers and a vampire magician. He'll need a beautiful assistant." It steadied Rue somehow when she realized that Sylvia was simply being matter-of-fact. Sex performer, magician's assistant, or dancer, Sylvia didn't care. "Blue Moon," Rue said firmly. "Blue Moon it is," Sylvia said. The blonde girl drifted over to stand by Sylvia. She had small hazel eyes and a full mouth that was meant to smile. She wasn't smiling now. While Sylvia searched through a stack of CD cases, the blonde stepped up to Rue's side. She whispered, "Don't look directly in their eyes. They can snag you that way, if they want to, turn your will to their wishes. Don't worry unless their fangs run all the way out. They're excited then." Startled, Rue used her lowest voice to say, "Thanks." But now she was even more nervous, and she had to wonder if perhaps that hadn't been the girl's intention. Having picked a CD, Sylvia tapped the arm of one of the vampires. "Thompson, you first." The dark-haired, taller vampire, who was wearing biking shorts and a ragged sleeveless t-shirt, came to stand in front of Rue. He was very handsome, very exotic, with golden skin and smooth short hair. Rue guessed he was of Eurasian heritage. There was a hint of a slant to his dark eyes. He smiled down at her, but there was something in his look she didn't trust, and she always paid attention to that feeling. At least now she did. After a quick scan of his face, she kept her eyes focused on his collarbone. Rue had never touched a vampire. Where she came from, a smallish town in Tennessee, you never saw anything so exotic. If you wanted to see a vampire, just like if you wanted to go to the zoo, you had to visit the city. The idea of touching a dead person made Rue queasy.